Welcome in the latest episode of the What I Bet podcast and the Straight Out of Vegas AM podcast feed. I'm your host, real underscore G Warner. You can find us wherever you get your podcast, Straight Out of Vegas AM. Search that Alpha Mary, the two letters at the end. Also, you can find us on twitter.com/pregame now, and that's the best way to get the daily podcast across all of the different episodes coming off the Straight Out of Vegas AM podcast feed. Tonight's episode, we're going through the July 30th Major League Baseball card. Going to save you some money at pregame.com with a promo code and get a what I bet best bet to you end of show. We are 5-2 last 7, 9-4 last 13, 11-5 last 16, 14-7 last 21, and we were trying to keep that streak alive. Last winner was the Detroit Tigers, a lopsided win on, I believe it was Tuesday night. We're recording this Wednesday for Thursday. So let's get into it, and we'll start with my first look at the numbers and try to get you some advice for a long day of Major League Baseball starting at 12:10 Eastern Time with the Texas Rangers at the Tampa Bay Rays. We got Cole Winn on the road, pitching for the Rangers, likely a spot start here or an opener at Shane McClanahan, one of the best, strongest pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. The Texas Rangers, a plus 128 underdog, minus 141 coming back on the Rays. Total 7.5, minus 110. And the first five number is four, and it's minus 110 also. So the Rays, one of the best teams in baseball so far this season. Market has not really believed in them, still making the Yankees, despite all their injuries, a favorite to win the division, at least as recently as I saw it. But the Rays are designed to play at home. They play the best there. I think they have the best home record in all of baseball, have dominated the division there, which the Rangers are not part of it. But I do think this is a really tough setup for the Rangers going in after a really tough series, but a 3-1, 3 wins, one loss at home against the Seattle Mariners in a wraparound series, which was their closest competition in the AL West. And now is kind of think jockeying between the Houston Astros and those Seattle Mariners. But with that said, they started off the series well. We'll see if they can keep that going. Price is a little bit bigger than I wanted it, but it still feels very cheap on the Rays. So I'm interested in case that number does fall a little bit, though I don't expect it to. We'll next go to the Kansas City Royals. Noah Cameron on the road at the Minnesota Twins and Bailey Ober. This is a 1:40 Eastern time start. The Twins are a minus 135 favorite, plus 122 coming back on the Royals. Total in this one is 9.5, just minus 110 both ways. And for, I guess, gambling interests, well, first five numbers, 5.5 minus 110. So I've been playing unders with the Kansas City Royals as far as I can remember, really ever since Bobby Witt won the injured list. They lost Vinnie Pasquantino also to the IL with some, I think, complications or soreness after his hamate bone return, which is usually zaps people with power, causes a lot of problems. With that said, the Royals have been playing a lot of really close games and have been very competitive despite being way out of the playoff picture, with probably some trades coming pretty soon. Bailey Ober's been a great pitcher for the Twins at times. He's been very inconsistent. I think been his biggest bugaboo. Really tall, 6'9", I think, but throws 91, maybe 92. And that doesn't really work as a right-handed pitcher in today's 2026 Major League Baseball. We'll see if that continues. It certainly lines up very well against a very limited Kansas City offense. Noah Cameron's he's had an opener in front of him. I think made his first career bullpen appearance, technically following an opener, at least one start ago, maybe two ago. But that's not a good sign. He was never really believed by most of the marketplace. Has certainly had some struggles. Had some really great outings, and honestly was great last season, even the start of this one. But feel like the league is figuring them out a little bit. The Twins can hit. That's one of the best parts of them. Though honestly, I feel like their lineup has gotten a lot weaker and their bullpen's gotten a lot better. So we'll see what happens in that one. But lean under 9.5 and under 5.5 first five, as those things are correlated, obviously. Next, we go to the New York Yankees and Ryan Weathers on the road at Chicago White Sox and Sean Burke. Burke, a minus 111 home favorite, which is pretty respectful considering how poorly the White Sox have been playing. Total is 8, minus 110 here. Ryan Weathers has not been very good. This probably explains some of this number. Sean Burke has looked great, but the White Sox have been playing really, really silly, naive almost baseball lately, giving a series away against the Houston Astros first two games with a blowout win on Sunday to avoid the sweep, but things have not gone great against the Yankees for him. I know that David Bednar had two saves in the first two games of the series. And then the Yankees were up 4-0 before the White Sox even came to bat in the first inning. So things have not been going well for the White Sox. I'm still a little bit interested in backing them as a home underdog here, but they have all the juice right now, minus 111 to the plus 101 coming back on the Yankees. I certainly expect the Yankees to be the popular side here, and they've got some problems, but I'm not really interested in the White Sox until they're an underdog, until they prove some sort of capability, and they're not going to make big mistakes. Last game of the early slate before we get to the late games, we'll go to Chicago Cubs and Javier Assad on the road at the St. Louis Cardinals and Andre Pallante. Pallante minus 119 favorite, totals 8.5, minus 115 in this one. And the Cubs are a better team. Their defense is impeccable. The Cardinals are kind of the White Sox or of the NL, I guess. Two central teams that have played far above their heads. St. Louis Cardinals were supposed to rebuild. White Sox have been rebuilding from the worst team in Major League Baseball history for the last couple of seasons. With that said, I expect both these teams to come back to earth. They sort of have already started that descent. But seeing the Cardinals a minus 119 favorite feels pretty expensive for them, especially Pallante. He's been pitching well, but we know how long that will last. Just a big arm, throws a lot of fastballs, but a lot of sinkers, and doesn't really seem to miss bats. And he's not really a strike thrower or strikeout guy. So more of a strike thrower than a strikeout guy. Better way to say that. I'll lean to the Cubs. Don't love Assad, but he's shown he can get outs in the past, and I just trust the Cubs' makeup and their strategy much more than I do the Cardinals. Next, go to the late slate. Miami Marlins started this off at 7:10 Eastern Time. Yori Perez on the road at the New York Mets and Nolan McLean. Perez at plus 120 underdog, total 7, minus 105 here. It's really hard to trust the Mets. They have been certainly getting a lot of respect from the marketplace, have been playing a lot better lately, but also I feel like getting some advantages their way, and then honestly giving games away also. But that's what happens when you're in such a bad state. Juan Soto hits the IL. They had a doubleheader on Wednesday. Those are all bad things for a new series starting. But Miami were losers of 12 in a row just recently. So that's the big question there. I think biggest interest for me is the back Yuri Perez, who I think is a great pitcher, great arm. We know that though, and how well does he put it together? McLean's been good too. I think the price is pretty heavy in the Mets right now. We'll see how this number ends up moving towards first pitch. But also have some interest in the under 7, under 3.5, though I do think I want a 4 on that first 5. Next, go to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they're starting an opener with Ramirez towing the bump to start the game at the Cincinnati Reds and Rhett Lauder. Lauder plus 101 home underdog, which is very disrespectful, I think, considering how well the Reds have been playing so far the second half. Total is 9.5, minus 110 both ways. I'll lean to over. The Pirates bullpen I don't trust. I do think Cincinnati's the Great American Small Park is one of the best over parks in all of baseball. So I'll lean to the over there and to the underdog as well. Next for the Washington Nationals, Jake Irvin coming back off the IL, and he's starting at Atlanta and Grant Holmes. Irvin plus 131 underdog, totals 9.5, minus 105 to under. I certainly don't expect a lot more outs than runs here. Obviously, that sounds ridiculous, but I think we see a lot of runs from the Braves. I don't know that I trust Grant Holmes against the Washington Nationals offense. And the Nationals bullpen is one of the worst in baseball, so go over 9.5. Well, next to the last game on the card, or at least last game that's line. Currently, we have 10 games on Thursday, so a little bit heavier slate than usual. But Seattle Mariners and Brian Wu starts on the road to the Los Angeles Dodgers and Roki Sasaki. Wu at plus 131 underdog, totals 8.5, minus 105 to under, so minus 115 to over. And that's the way I lean. Brian Wu's been honestly so good to me over the last few years, but this year he's been really bad away from home. Not really sure he's been that great at home, but his numbers certainly look a lot better because they've been really poor outside of Seattle. Dodgers are a really tough park for any pitcher because there's so many home runs at that park, and that's really what Brian Wu survives off of, is basically having his long fly balls not go over the fence. So that's a big problem. I don't think we can trust Roki Sasaki because he somehow throws harder and harder and harder and doesn't miss bats. And you need to do that at this level. Yes, his 102-mile-an-hour fastball can certainly help him, but I think this total below 9 is too low. Two bullpens that are pretty talented, so that does certainly put some pause in my mind. But I think we see at least 9 runs this game, so I'll go over 8.5. Now, to save you some money at pregame.com before you get a What I Bet Best Bet coming end of show, let's go to the promo code HIT50, H is in hotel, I is in India, T is in Tango, 50. Save $50 on Griffin Warner's Major League Baseball second half all access through the World Series. When this promotion was written, we were 23.92 MLB units in the green, plus 23.92, and we're trying to go for 40 at least. Major League Baseball second half all access up to you is available now on the website for $349. Use coupon code HIT50. Good for that $50 off. Pay only $299 the rest of the season. You can probably do that for other great handicappers at pregame.com. Use that promo code HIT50 on any second half all access packages. And we'll see you in the next episode. before we get there with what I bet. Oh, also want to say this, it's good through the 10th of August, but don't wait. You're missing out on every day you don't buy it. So go in there, throw that hit 50 in, save $50 on my second half all access through the World Series. So for a what about best bet, we were 5-2 last seven, 9-4 last 13, 11-5 last 16, 14-7 last 21. Sorry to scream all those records at you, but it's been a good run lately and trying to keep that streak alive. Let's go with the over in the Washington Nationals Atlanta Braves game. We're going over 9.5 runs, and we'll see you in the next episode of What I Bet. 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is real underscore G Warner across all social media platforms. This is the What I Bet Best Bet across wherever you get your podcast, straight out of Vegas AM or twitter.com/pregame now. You can find me on Twitter or all social media platforms at the real underscore G Warner. And we are on a great run with our What I Bet Best Bets. This is the single by itself video version. So give me a second to get our records out there. 5-2 last seven, 9-4 last 13, 11-5 last 16, 14-7 last 21. For our best bet on this July 30th episode, let's go to Atlanta for over 9.5 runs. Washington Nationals at the Atlanta Braves. Jake Irvin coming back off the IL. Grant Holmes looking more and more average every ball that he throws. And two great offenses. Acuna back in right field, not knowing what he's doing in the outfield, but certainly adding a lot at the top of that lineup. The Nationals have been hitting more than anyone this season, and they've got a really bad bullpen. So that's a great combo for a lot of runs in hot Atlanta. And I think we see the starting pitchers wear down pretty quickly, a lot of bullpen use, and that's certainly good and a benefit to the Braves. Go over 9.5 in this Thursday, July 30th best bet. We'll see you in the next episode of What I Bet.